In the mist-shrouded hills of ancient Ireland, where the veil between our world and the other world is paper thin, tales of magic and wonder are woven into the very land itself. This particular tale is the story of Connla, the son of a high king, and of a love he held that promised eternity, a love not of this earth. It's a story that asks a timeless question: what would you give up for eternal life? What would you give up to be free from sorrow and decay? What would you give up for magical love? High King Conn of the 100 Battles stood with his beloved son, Connla, on the sacred hill of Usnach. The wind, that constant breath of Ireland, swept over them, and in that moment all was right with the world. The king saw his legacy in his son's strong form and keen eyes, but the threads of fate are spun by unseen hands, and a shadow was about to fall from the clear blue sky. Without a sound, she was there. Where before there had only been the air, now stood a woman of such beauty it could only be unnatural. She was of the east side, the people of the fairy mounds, and her eyes, deep as twilight, were fixed only on the young prince. The king was terrified and wanted to draw his blade, but he knew that against such power, iron was a feeble defence. Her voice was like the chiming of distant music, weaving a spell of enchantment. She spoke of Tir na Og, the land of the young, a place of endless feasting and joy, where time held no sway and death held no dominion. And she offered this paradise to the prince, but for a price. Connla would have to leave his world and people behind, but in return he would rule by her side forever. As the king watched in horror, his son fell further and further under the fairy's thrall. He called upon his last hope, the druid Coran, and with ancient words of power, Coran raised a staff. The druid fought magic with magic. His spell was a shield against her glamour, and the maiden, her form flickering like a candle in the wind, was forced to retreat. But as she vanished, she tossed a single perfect apple to Connla. This apple was a seed of longing that would never fade. From that day, a change came over Connla. He ate nothing but the fairy apple, which never grew smaller, and he drank only from the memory of her voice. He spoke to no one. His heart and mind were forever across the sea in that phantom land of Tir na Og. A deep melancholy settled upon him, a sickness that no physician could cure, for the cause was not of the body, it was of the soul. A month to the day after the maiden had first appeared, as the king was walking with his son, his sorrowing son, by the lonely shore, a light appeared on the horizon. Gliding over the waves without oar or sail came a magical boat of shimmering crystal, and within it stood the fairy maiden, more radiant even than before. Her call echoed across the water. Compelling and enchanting, it was a siren song to which Connla's heart was already attuned. Torn between the world he knew and the paradise he desired, Connla turned to his father, his eyes brimming with tears of longing. The king, with his own heart breaking, begged his son to stay. But the call of the other world is a powerful tide, and the pull of mortal love for all its strength was unable to compete with his promise of eternity. With a final heartbreaking look, Connla of the ruddy face stepped into the crystal boat. As he did, it turned and moved back across the silent sea, carrying the prince away from the world of mortal men. The king fell to his knees on the cold stones, and he watched until the light was swallowed by the rolling mists of the Irish Sea. His heir was gone, but not to death, to a land of everlasting life, a loss somehow more final and more tragic. And though many a bard would sing of Connla's journey to the land of Tir na Og, No mortal would ever lay eyes upon him again.